Hello and welcome to the Pickwatch Podcast. I am KC Joyner, the football scientist. You might remember me from my 14-year stint with ESPN where I covered the NFL and fantasy football. I'm now on the independent path via my website, thefootballscientist.com, and I'm also doing a weekly pick'em article for Pickwatch. My Week 7 picks went 11-3, bringing my 2020 season mark to 73-31, or a 70.2% win rate. Here are my Week 8 picks. Each section details which team is predicted to win and provides a quick summary of why that selection was made. The picks also contain a confidence value for each selection based on a 1 to 10 scale, with 10 being the most confident and 1 being the least confident. Now on to the picks. We begin with the Thursday night game of Atlanta at Carolina. The Falcons' defense has taken significant steps forward over the past 3 weeks, as they have allowed 23 points in 3 straight games and gave up a total of 96 rushing yards over the past 2 weeks combined. The problem for Atlanta is their offense has fallen back as they've scored 22 or fewer points in 3 of the past 4 games. Carolina has seen its share of consistency issues as well, as the Panthers posted a season low on offensive yards last week, while allowing a banged-up Saints offense to rack up 27 points and 415 yards. Home field ends up being the tiebreaker here, so Carolina gets this pick by a small margin with a confidence level of 2. Now we head to the AFC North for the game of the week, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Doesn't get much better than a clash of these AFC North Titans. Baltimore's ground game is every bit as dominant as it was last year, but the passing game has faltered as the Ravens have tallied fewer than 200 net passing yards in 4 of the past 5 games. Baltimore's defense has also been somewhat hit and miss in many categories, but they have made up for it by ranking 7th in takeaways. Pittsburgh leads the league by far in pass pressure rate and has allowed the fewest rush yards per game. Add that to the Steelers having posted 26 or more points in every contest this season, and it offsets the Ravens' home field advantage and equals a very close pick for Pittsburgh with a confidence level of 1. Now we're off to the AFC East for New England at Buffalo. How the mighty have fallen. Over the past 3 games, the Patriots' offense has tallied a meager total of 28 points while giving up 11 turnovers. Outside of the Week 2 Sunday night game versus the atrocious Seattle defense, New England hasn't posted a single contest with 200 net passing yards. The Patriots' rush defense has also been mediocre as they've allowed 332 yards in the past 2 games. Buffalo's passing game has taken a major step down after the Titans showed the league has a stopless platoon, but the Bills still have enough offensive firepower to rate as a very solid pick in this one with a confidence level of 5. This should be a fun matchup, Tennessee at Cincinnati. The Titans may have lost last week, but going toe-to-toe with a Pittsburgh Steelers club that is arguably the best in the league shows that Tennessee wasn't merely the beneficiary of an easy early schedule. The Bengals had a leading offensive Rookie of the Year candidate in Joe Burrow and proved their run game can survive without Joe Mixon, but Cincinnati has allowed 25 or more points in 4 straight games and 68 points in the last 2 games. This should be a very high-scoring game and thus could go either way, but the Titans have a notable talent edge in many areas, and as a result get this pick with a confidence level of 4. Here's another entertaining contest, Las Vegas at Cleveland. Cleveland looked like a terrible team in their Week 6 matchup against Pittsburgh, but they returned to their dominant offensive ways against Cincinnati by racking up their 5th game of the season with 32 or more points. The problem for the Browns is they have allowed 30 or more points on 5 occasions and 72 points over the past 2 weeks. That could allow the potentially powerful Silver and Black offense to keep up in the shootout, but Las Vegas has posted 23 or fewer points in 3 of its last 4 games. That downside trade is enough to give Cleveland the advantage here by a small margin with a confidence level of 4. Should be interesting to see where these 2 teams end up after this contest. It's Indianapolis at Detroit. With 3 wins in its last 4 games, the Detroit Lions are actually on the border of being a legitimate NFC wildcard contender. Winning the turnover battle is a key factor on the Lions' success, as Detroit has a +5 mark in turnovers in that span and never had more than 1 turnover in a single contest. Philip Rivers' penchant for throwing interceptions could give the Lions another victory in that category, but the Colts should get impact linebacker Darius Leonard back in the lineup after a 4-week absence this week. Combine that with the Colts' overall talent advantage, and this selection lands in their column with a confidence level of 6. It's a clash of the NFC North between Minnesota and Green Bay. The Vikings recently dominated this series for 3 seasons, but after Green Bay's Week 1 win over Minnesota, the Green and Gold now have a 3-game series win streak. Turnovers are the main problem for the Vikings as they have tallied 3 turnovers in 3 of the past 5 games, while not posting more than 1 takeaway in a single game this year. Take out the debacle against Tampa Bay and the Packers have posted 350 or more yards, 30 or more points, and 0 turnovers in every matchup. There is little to suggest Minnesota will stop Green Bay from hitting those totals again in this contest, so the Packers are heavy favorites in this one with a confidence level of 7. This is probably slated to be quite the mismatch, the New York Jets at Kansas City. Just when it looked like the Jets' offense couldn't get any worse, last week they posted a season-low 190 net offensive yards and an abysmal 91 net passing yards against the Bills' defense that have been struggling at times this year. New York's defense also allowed 400 or more yards for the third time, so things are bad on both sides of the ball. Combine those trends with Kansas City coming off of a season high in points scored and takeaways last week, and this contest being in Kansas City, and it has runaway potential for the Chiefs. This is one of the most confident picks of the 2020 season and earns a rare 10 confidence level for Kansas City. Here's a matchup you don't see that often, the Los Angeles Rams at Miami. It doesn't seem like the Rams are hitting on all cylinders, yet Los Angeles has posted 110 or more rushing yards in all but one game, has allowed fewer than 300 net offensive yards in 3 of the past 4 games, and has given up only 53 points in the past 4 contests combined. Miami head coach Brian Flores is doing a Coach of the Year caliber job by getting the Dolphins to play better than their talent level, and is aiming to give Miami's offense a boost by putting rookie Tua Tagovailoa under center following a bye week. The cross-country trip and creative play calling by Miami will challenge the Rams, but Los Angeles has more potential path to victory and thus earns this pick with a confidence level of 4. Now we head to the AFC West for the Los Angeles Chargers at Denver. Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn was a former running backs coach, and thus doesn't like to lean too heavily on the passing game, but rookie sensation Justin Herbert seems to be changing Lynn's mind on the subject. Los Angeles has racked up 430 more offensive yards in 3 of the past 5 games and, maybe more importantly, has tallied 0 turnovers in the past 2 contests. That approach could open the door for Denver to win in a shootout, but the Broncos have scored 21 or fewer points in all but 1 game this season. That lack of offensive firepower closes the door to the Broncos' highest percentage ways to win this game, and pushes the selection to the Chargers with a solid confidence level of 6. Next up is what could be a smash-mouth contest of New Orleans at Chicago. The Saints have been trying to switch away from being a pass-happy team for a couple of seasons now, and for a variety of intentional and unintentional reasons they have finally been able to do that. It has led to New Orleans posting fewer than 300 passing yards in 4 out of 6 games this year, yet the Saints have still been able to score 27 or more points in all but 1 contest. The Bears' powerhouse defense has allowed more than 24 points only once, despite facing some strong offenses, but their atrocious offense now has 4 straight games of fewer than 270 yards. That weakness is likely going to be too much for Chicago to overcome, so this one goes to the Saints with a confidence level of 3. Now we're up to a much-anticipated Nfc West matchup of San Francisco at Seattle. Seattle might have the most entertaining offense since the greatest show on turf Rams teams of the late 1990s to early 2000s. The Seahawks have scored 27 or more points in every game this year and just got through putting up 372 passing yards and 200 rushing yards against a solid Cardinals defense. The issue for Seattle is their defense has been a sieve, as the Seahawks have allowed 400 or more yards in every game and 500 or more yards in 3 games. San Francisco's defense has held 4 teams to fewer than 300 offensive yards, and their offense has racked up 400 or more yards on 3 occasions, so they have the weapons to keep up in many game scripts, but too many game scripts favor Seattle along with home field advantage, so the Seahawks get this pick with a confidence level of 3. Next up is the Sunday night contest of Dallas at Philadelphia. It wasn't that long ago that the Cowboys-Eagles Sunday night matchup would be the marquee game of the week, but this contest isn't one of them. Were it not for the presence of the Jets, Dallas would arguably be the worst team in the NFL. Their offense has fallen off dramatically following the season-ending injury to Dak Prescott, and the Cowboys' rush defense has allowed 200 or more rushing yards in 3 of the past 4 games. The Eagles have had myriad injuries across their offensive platoon, and yet have posted 22 or more points in 5 straight games, and 330 or more offensive yards in all but 1 game. Combine those trends of this being a home game for the Eagles and the Cowboys' reported off-field issues, and this one lands easily in the Philadelphia column with a confidence level of 8. Let's close out with the Monday night matchup of Tampa Bay at the New York Giants. How many times have we seen this type of thing before? Tom Brady has some struggles, the world thinks Father Time has finally caught up to him, Brady gets fired up to prove the world wrong, and his team starts to dominate opponents. That's exactly where we are right now, as Brady has finally adjusted to the Bucs offense and is once again looking like the best quarterback in NFL history. As scary as that is, Tampa Bay's defense may be even more impressive, as the Buccaneers have given up 20 or fewer points in 5 of the past 6 games and have racked up 2 or more turnovers in 4 of the past 6 contests. The Giants are much improved of late, but there may only be 2 or 3 teams playing as well as Tampa Bay is right now, so this one goes to the Bucs in a landslide with a confidence level of 9.